What's going on, everyone? So Cole Swider's time with the Los Angeles Lakers has officially came to an end. The Lakers yesterday waived Cole Swider to allow Alex Fudge to be brought in on a two-way. So now the Lakers have the three two-way guys in Fudge, Hodge, and as well as Castleton, which I'm stoked and pumped about all three of those guys. Now, Cole Swider is a real disappointment. I really was. I was genuinely disappointed. I mean, I've made several videos talking about Cole Swider and just the disappointment that I've had, because this is a guy that was just absolutely lethal from the three-point range. And last year, he was very raw, right? Had some moments where, he got minutes and just looked lost, and even in Summer League, looked lost at times. But it was man, this dude's 6'9", he's such a good shooter. Worst case scenario, if he could be a Duncan Robinson type player, that's all you could ask for. That's all you could need. The Lakers could have gotten a steal, undrafted. But then you look at it and you go, okay, well, no, he kind of showed why he went undrafted, because he's not very good at anything else. And you saw the strides that guys took, right? Even Max Christie. Max Christie took enormous strides between last year and this year. Max Christie was arguably the best player on the court every game he played. He was the most efficient in the entire Summer League. The guy was ridiculous. And I'm not saying Cole Swider needed to be that level, right? To where it was just oh, this dude's, the second coming of Reggie Miller or something like that. No, nothing along those lines, but at least show that level of improvement. Show the difference between last year and this year. You can make an argument he was worse this year than he was last year in Summer League. And he wasn't great in the G League either, which is another thing too, because it's you want to see that dominance, you want to see that approach. And now look, he put up some numbers, right? This guy wasn't a complete slouch. He put up 17 points per game. He shot 50.6% from the field total and 43.6% from three on 7.7 attempts, right? Which is 80% of his shot attempts. So he was primarily just a three-point shooter. And he was averaging 3.3 makes per game in that regard. Now, we know he's a great three-point shooter. That's never been a question, right? That's the one thing he is best at, is shooting the three ball. But he provides nothing else. This is a guy that played almost 30 minutes a game. Again, gave you 17 points, but at 6'9", gave you 4 rebounds per game. 4 rebounds, right? In the G League. Then, on top of that, he averaged a turnover a game and a steal, so he basically washed that out. 0.03 blocks, which was basically non-irrelevant. And he, as far as player ranking went, was 198th in the league in advanced stats. In defensive rating. Defensive rating, he was 232 or something crazy like that. If you just take the defensive rating. But Cole Swider was just bad in every metric outside of the three-point shooting. Again, in the G League, he was the 198th ranked player. And so, again, we didn't need him to be this great superstar. And look, he's a guy that maybe a team will take a flyer on, right? I'm sure that some team will admire him just solely on his shooting, because he could be great in a specialist spot, right? You need a guy that can just, in certain spots, in certain moments, just be a three-point threat, or, you throw him out there with a unit that just is a sizable defensive unit, and you just kind of have him be a spot-up three-point shooter. And hopefully you have a good enough defense around him to really kind of hone him in. But he's a guy that last year looked like he was 3 years away. And now you looked at him this year and it looked like he was still 3 years away. And Cole Swider, he's not 20 years old. He's not 21 years old. He's 24, right? And so you're telling me that you're probably going to have to develop this guy for another 2 or 3 years just to get him serviceable. Not even good. I don't know if he's going to be able to be good at anything else. He's not very athletic. He's not very quick-footed. doesn't move laterally well. He doesn't really have any athleticism. He doesn't know or seem to have the instincts to use his size or have a real feel for the game. Like, it's just he again, he could shoot the lights out, but there's nothing that is an indication that, like, man, okay, you put him around other guys, he could be a great playmaker, right? He could pass the ball. He's a great passer, got great court vision. There's none of that. He's not a good defensive guy. He can't even guard me. Like, the guy is just that. What other qualities can he give you? He's 6'9" in height, but he might as well be 5'9". He doesn't even use his size and length. And, like, even in the summer league, when you watched, he had a couple games where he had, like, 7 or 8 rebounds or whatever. Like, they were just there. Like, it wasn't like he went and fought for a board and went and chased down the rebound. No, there was a game where literally he got 4 straight rebounds, and it was because he was the only one under the basket, and it was 4 straight misses, and the ball just, like, landed in his lap. So it wasn't like he tracked this down and used his size. He was trying to back down. It might have been the Boston game, but he was trying to back down a guy that was like half his size and was just getting bullied. He just couldn't move the guy. And then shot clock was winding down, tried to go make a play and just completely turned the ball over, and they were running the other way. Like, the guy he doesn't have a good feel for the game. He doesn't. He doesn't know how to just let the game come to him. He doesn't know how to just kind of read the defense and read, like, what is going on. It just, I mean, he was so bad the commentators called him out. There was literally a game where the commentators were like, I don't know if he's, trying to just impress and it's nerves or what, but the commentators were like, he's doing too much and he's just making poor decisions and he's turning the ball over, and he just looked really lost out there. And it sucks because he does have a lot of promise. And it's like, if he could get it right, but some guys just are never NBA level players. He's a guy that could probably have a lot of success in the G League. He could probably have a lot of success overseas. But there's a lot of guys that are very good at the game of basketball that are much better than Cole Swider and are still not good enough to make the league. Like, it's hard to make the league. And Cole Swider is elite level offense from 3-point range. And there is value in that. But it's, again, in that specialty role. It's a team that's like, hey, we could use him as like our 15th man just for situational spots. And if that happens, then maybe somebody will bring him in. Otherwise, what the other alternative is that he could just kind of float. And then I believe after a year, the Lakers could bring him back if they wanted to. And then you bring him back and you kind of just maybe work it out. Maybe next summer league, if no one's picked him up and he's free and he's out there, maybe you go and bring him in and see if he's had any type of improvements or any type of changes. I don't think that there's going to be that surprise or that leap, right? And you're going to have a whole nother draft where the Lakers are going to get some other pieces. There's going to be new opportunities for undrafted guys. And Cole Swider, I mean, unless he just takes some, like, ridiculous leap, I don't see a scenario where the Lakers go, oh, yeah, let's bring him back, right? Like, let's put him on another two-way spot. When you have, 3 guys in the next draft that could be significant, important pieces, right? Like, you could bring in, after this year, you could bring in Castleton and Hodge if you wanted to, and then just sign 2 other undrafted guys, or give a couple guys an Exhibit 10 and see how they look, and then figure it out from there, right? It's just, Cole Swider, he's a very talented shooter. It's frustrating to see that, like, there's nothing else he's good at, because he is such a good shooter. And it's just like, if he just had one other just quality that could translate to, like, the NBA, he'd probably get a spot. Maybe even if not the Lakers, somewhere else. I don't know where he ends up. I could see a team bringing him on to, like, the G League and just kind of, like, maybe hoping he can kind of develop into something, or maybe they feel like they can develop him a little bit. kind of like how, like, when the Lakers let go of Matt Ryan, he got snatched up immediately. And, and then guess what? He just never played. So it was like, okay, like, what was the point? But it was just kind of like, well, the Lakers had him, so it must have been good enough for the Lakers, must be good enough for us type thing. That's what I could see kind of happening with Cole Swider, and maybe somebody giving him an opportunity. But I don't see him as an NBA player anytime soon. And he's another 2-3 years away, and he's 24, so he's going to be 27, 28 by the time he's even just comparable to be able to be in the league, right? Not even as like a great player, just like a guy that can maybe take up a bench spot. And it's just like when there's so many other guys out there that are, like Alex Fudge, 20 years old, right? You could spend the next 5 years developing him, and he'd be the age of Cole Swider right now. Like, that's the difference, right? You don't have to play Fudge a single game for the next 5. You could give him 5 years of development, and he'd be the age that Cole Swider is. That's the difference, right? Cole Swider, if you had to give him 5 years of development, he'd be out of the league at that point, because he'd be 3 years from retirement. So it's just, that's the big difference. But it sucks, disappointing. I had my hopes up for Cole Swider, but what do you think? Do you think somebody will give him a shot? Do you think he deserves a shot? Do you think if no one picks him up down the road, Lakers should bring him back? Bring him back to G League and maybe continue to develop him. However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments.